We had a really good friend that passed away, and we had not done any work for these folks, financial work, and essentially it was unexpected. And when I got to his house, what I found was his children were combing through all of their financial documents. His wife had never written a check really and never spent any time with her finances. And that scene will never, ever leave my mind.
At Integrated Wealth Management, our goal is to design a well-crafted plan and bring all the details and pieces together to build you a roadmap for retirement. We know retirement is super exciting, but it can be daunting and confusing. Am I going to have enough money to live the lifestyle that I want? Am I going to leave enough money for my spouse, children? How do I protect my estate? What am I going to do about taxes? What if I have a major medical expense? Many of the people that are coming into our office are asking those same questions. And they need a team like Integrated Wealth to put the pieces together for retirement.
What we don't want for clients that come to Integrated Wealth is to have that scene that I described a moment ago where something happens and things are a mess. We are going to put these pieces of the puzzle together. We're going to make your life simple. We're going to allow you the freedom of retirement, allow you to travel, go on cruises, do what you want to do without worrying about your money, about your things, so that you can enjoy the next 20 to 30 years of your life with confidence.
Ready to kick it off?
Ready to go? Let's do it.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thanks so much for joining our webinar tonight. We got some great things in store for you. We're going to call this webinar the Retirement Game Changer webinar series. And you may have joined tonight because you might be worried about what the market's doing. I think we are a little concerned on, where's the market go from here? You may have had some losses in your account thinking, what am I going to do now? You may be sitting there getting ready to retire and thinking to yourself, can I retire now? You may be sitting there retired going, oh my gosh, I didn't expect to lose this much, or could I lose more? What can I do to prevent that? So we're going to have some fun tonight. We think you're going to learn a ton.
It's been an adjustment. I mean, really, I have to tell you, the last few weeks, I've never seen anything like this my whole life. And I'm a little older than Ben. So I understand what it feels like to have saved for retirement, to know that maybe at some point in time, if I wanted to, I could retire. But this definitely changes the game for all of us. It really does. The way we think, optimism and looking to the future with security. Someone said last night, in January, early on, the talk was how wonderful the economy was, how low unemployment was. And then the next statement was, that seems like a long time ago. So tonight, we're going to present some things that we think are going to make one major difference in your life. We have seen a major difference in our clients' lives over the years, and we do this because we love it, and we're glad you tuned in.
Yep. So, and one quick thing, at the end of the presentation, you're going to have the opportunity to schedule a 15-minute phone call with myself or my dad to figure out how we can help you, figure out what your needs are, how we build plans for retirement. And I'll tell you, tonight, we're not going to try to sell you one thing. We're going to kind of show you what it means to build a plan for retirement. So if you call showing you how to build a plan for retirement selling, well, then I guess we are. But it is so important to make sure you know where you're going for the next 25 or 30 years of your life.
Exactly. I mean, and things have changed, and we are. I think someone said someone is always selling, but we have a passion, and I think when we that comes through for us, and we do want to sell ourselves because we know we can make a difference in your life. So that's exciting. So we're going to get started and work through some of these slides that we have. We are not movie stars, as you will notice tonight. So we're going to have some fun. We hope you enjoy it as well. This is our team. And this is our building. That's our front door. We drive up, Walk right in. Pretty easy to do. A few years ago, my daughter called my wife, and you'll notice this precipice that we're looking at with people that have gotten on top. Actually, I get butterflies in my stomach when I look at it. My wife got a phone call, and my daughter decided they're going to have a ladies backpacking trip in Colorado. So my daughter lives out there. We put all the gear together and made it all work. I had to test my wife's pack and her sleeping bag and what have you. And she took off, and she flew to Colorado, got there. And, of course, I didn't expect to hear anything. When I've gone away on hunting trips, no one hears from me. So I'm just enjoying doing the things I do. And suddenly I get a phone call on a Sunday. My wife was supposed to fly home on Monday, and it's my son-in-law. Now, when he calls, usually something up. So he called and said, "Hey, listen, I've got to let you know." He says, "Joanne, on the way down, they were coming out of the mountain, and it had been raining all night and raining on the way down. She had some hiking sticks, of course, but all of her gear on. But on the way down, they hit some mud, and Joanne fell down and, of course, caught herself with the left wrist, and we think her wrist is broken." So we had Andy, who is almost a doctor, get her set up with a surgeon, and everything was taken care of. She had surgery. It indeed was broken. Got a plate in her left wrist now. But you look at this mountain. This is not the mountain she was on, by the way. So when we show this, people laugh. But you know what? I don't know about you, but I feel like that the two people on top are where we are right now. If you're at retirement age, if you're already in retirement, you have worked really hard to get up there. Or if you're approaching retirement and you're ready to pull the trigger, and then suddenly we have a financial disaster like we have lived in and seen now. And I'd like to say that the statistics tell us that 85 to 90% of all the accidents that happen when you're backpacking happen on the way down a mountain. Well, the accident has happened in a sense where our economy is turned upside down. So what am I concerned about as a guy that's probably close to your age? I'm concerned about my investments. That is huge. It's been 11 years of clear sailing after 2008. The second thing I'm concerned about is my Social Security. We had a client today with a conversation, doing some planning. They just are ready to retire. The last couple of weeks here of retirement, they're moving. They purchased a house down south. And he said, I'd planned on taking Social Security at 70. I'm not sure I want to wait that long anymore. We're pretty nervous about whether the money's going to last. There's $25 trillion of federal debt right now, and it's piling on fast. The third thing I'd be concerned about is taxation. We've said this for a long time, that government spending, government freebies, if you will, may I say, will create some major tax issues in the future. We don't know when. And then last is we have an election around the corner. Just through the summer, we're going to have an election that is going to really make a big difference in where we head as a country. So we are very carefully watching our clients' portfolios and making some careful planning, knowing that all things are up in the air. So we want to address a lot of this tonight because we think our process, our game change process, will literally help you avoid most or all of the obstacles. So Ben, why don't you share about
You got it.
the years?
I love to share this slide. So if you think about 3 phases of retirement, we love to break it down. And really, if you think about it, the go-go, the slow-go, and the won't-go years. So if you think of, the years where we're the healthiest, and if we're lucky enough to retire at 60, it shows on here, you've got 15 years of your life that you're probably going to be the healthiest. So it is so important to build a plan that is going to last for your whole life. And those 15 years or 20 years where you're traveling, and if you have grandkids or you have family or nieces and nephews or whatever, that you're taking the most opportunity of spending time with them. So it is imperative to make sure you've got a plan for retirement. So I love to share this slide because it really breaks it up. And for us as retirement planners, we call us financial advisors or retirement planners. You know, the joy for us is to see every one of our clients go through these phases of life, and especially when they get ready to retire. And you may be that person that's getting ready to retire or just retired tuning in today, and making sure you're capitalizing on those go-go years, because it is a joy not only for you, but it's a joy for us as advisors.
So obviously it takes money, right? And it takes funding, and you've got to be confident. And one of the things we like to say around our office with our clients, a part of our mission is clarity. If you have clarity, guess what happens next? You've got confidence to move forward. Right now, there's not a lot clear in our country, not a lot of clarity out there. And it's created an incredible amount of angst and stress and frustration, but it takes money to do this. And when we develop a plan, we want to make sure you can spend the maximum amount of time doing the things you want to do in your life with the people you love the most during these go-go years before you decide to slow down. I saw it in my dad's life where he wouldn't even go on a fishing trip. We'd ask him every single year. And then finally he caved in and went on a fishing trip, and we never stopped talking about it. And we're talking about it today. We want to help you create those kind of memories in your life.
Mm-hmm. So I love to share this concept. So if you think about retirement, you think about getting ready to retire or being retired, life without a plan. So when folks come to see us, we feel like it's our job to put everything in perspective for them, but not only put everything in perspective, but really gather all their data, all their statements. Think about this: 30, 40 years of saving and putting, money elsewhere, maybe a Roth, or the accountant said, hey, put money in this IRA. I had a client come to me once, they had 15 different IRAs because every year their accountant said, open up an IRA to save X amount of money on taxes. So they would go to the bank and put $5,000, $5,500, $6,000 into an IRA. Imagine that. So imagine all the accounts that we have accumulated throughout the years that we have everywhere. Well, it's our job as a firm is to put everything in one place so you can see your life of what that hard work you've done and that saving you've done, put it all in one place so you can see everything in one spot. I like to call this snapshot with all these puzzle pieces the junk drawer. We all have that junk drawer. I've got 2 little kids at home, so I have 2-3 junk drawers with toys and everything you can imagine in there. And it's about organizing that junk drawer to really build a plan for retirement.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it naturally happens where things are a lot of places, and doing an assessment is critical. So this is kind of an interesting picture, isn't it? with our current day, a lot of us wearing masks around. If you do come to see us, this is a good time to tell you this. We'd like you to, there's a calendar option Ben will share with you in a second that you can actually schedule a 15-minute interview with us, or schedule a Zoom meeting, or even come in physically, because we are open now. But you notice we do take precautions. We here at the office, all of us send our temperatures in every day before we can come into the building, and we really are careful. So we want to make sure that we are safe for you, and we'll ask you some questions as well when you come in to make sure that we're both safe in a sense. So, but the saying is, there is no retirement without income. That's pretty simple, isn't it? And if you don't know exactly how long your income is going to last, you don't know how much your income, whether the source is going to be, or if you're taking income out of your investments, which if you've been doing that and now the market has plummeted, you're about to be pretty nervous right now. So we have a better way to do it, and we want to share that with you tonight. So it's simple. Ben and I maybe will both share some of this, but we think we look at clients' capital, and if you look at a bucket of capital, let's say it's $1 million of capital, we like to do what we call the bucket approach, where we want to actually look at the purposes of the money that our clients have. So we're going to look at the first bucket, which is a safety bucket. All of us, and we encourage this, prior to retirement, that you accumulate as much liquid safety capital. That means bank accounts, CDs, easy to access money, things that you can get your hands on, just liquid capital, checking accounts even is fine. In fact, nothing's earning any interest right now, so it doesn't really matter. But we want safety capital so you can reach in, get your hands on it, go on that cruise, go on that trip. We have one client he's going to spend an entire year fixing up things around his house that he has neglected, as most men do. So safety money, you got to have it, and you got to keep it there, and we got to keep replenishing it. So the second bucket is income. So after we have filled up that safety bucket, the next piece is income. We want to make sure, and I think you do, and we're asking clients right now, would you prefer to have a guaranteed income that you can be sure will never go away no matter what the market does? Probably 98% of the people we talk to right now say yes, absolutely, especially now. So we want to segment enough capital, and that would include making sure we count your pensions, Social Security, real estate income, dividend income, oil and gas income, whatever those things might be. We want to do an assessment and find out what that does in the way of income. And is that going to take care of you the rest of your life? And how much of your investment capital needs to supplement those items? And maybe it's totally, if you have a 401k and no pension, which are like most folks, you're going to be using a lot of your investment income. So we want to segment that income out and develop an income structure that will last a long, long time, hopefully the rest of your life in this bucket alone.
Well, you want to create in that income bucket the same feeling you have of when you collect that Social Security check that you're getting that guaranteed every month, or if you're lucky enough to have that pension. That same concept we use with the investments or the money you have saved for retirement. So we want to use a piece of your capital and put it in this income bucket to know that we have this bucket that is going to supplement your lifestyle. Think about this. You no longer are getting a paycheck from work, right? Every 2 weeks you used to get paid, and part of it would go in your 401k and the rest would go into your checking account. The same approach we take at our firm is making sure we continue that, because no one likes to live without income. So it's our goal, and really what we thrive on is building that income plan so you have it for the rest of your life.
Exactly. That's key. I mean, that makes you sleep at night and gives you the peace of mind you need. And the third bucket, once I know I've taken care of safety, money I can access at all times, I've now got my income set up. Imagine having your income walled off that you know you're going to get a paycheck every single month without fail. And these market blips aren't going to, and that we didn't have a blip right now, we had a bust. These market issues are not going to affect your income. Imagine that. And then last, if we have these first two buckets taken care of, that's your lifestyle. That's living your life. That's every day. The third bucket, then, we are now able to take the remaining capital and create what we call a growth bucket, where now we can put this money in place in the proper kind of investment strategy where we're not having to draw income. We're not taking it out when the market's down. We're actually being able to leave the money grow, leave it where it's at, and grow over long periods of time. And we're not going to be concerned if it's invested properly, what happens to the market ups and downs. It's not going to affect our income or our lifestyle. And that's a great way to put money together.
Right. To sum this all up, if you think about it, at our office, we call it the bucket approach, the safety, income, and growth approach. But if you're listening today and you tuned in and you are in retirement or thinking about retiring, we can't tell you how important it is to have that safety bucket filled up. And everybody's different of the cash they need in their life. Okay. But having accessible, safe money stuck in cash is huge for every single person. And we have clients that come to us that have saved a lot of money for retirement, but guess what? They have no money in their checkings or savings because they've been told their whole life to put money in their 401k. And that's where all their money is. So our goal, especially, is to start building up that safety bucket.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, it's critical. It's peace of mind.
So a couple of different things, especially in this day and age of what the market's doing. Of course, luckily, the market hasn't been going, up 1,500, down 1,500, up 2,000, down 2,000.
Now it hasn't finally.
Exactly. But, and it may start again, and we can't predict that. But one of the things we like to say at our office is why you shouldn't try to time the market. See, what happens is we get scared, we get nervous, especially folks that handle their own money. They don't want to go through another 08, 09 again. So what happened? Fear kicks in and we start selling. Okay. And what we're trying to tell you is that is not the right move. Okay. Think about this. Your money's in for long term. And we know history will repeat itself. The market will rebound. We don't know the time. A lot of folks say it could be a V curve, right? A really quick rebound, or a U curve. We're yet to know. And that is really what has driven this uncertainty in the market.
I like to say that timing the market is not a strategy. So it does not work. It can't work. Anyone that's made it work, it's because they just happen to, and I don't believe in luck, but they really just happen to hit it an odd way to do it. So Ben, go ahead.
That's right. And, trying to time it twice is not the way to do it. So think about this. You got to time it when you get out and try to time it when you get back in. So the math is definitely not in your favor. So it's about a solid investment strategy. It's about knowing how you're allocated, because when we build an investment, strategy for every single one of our clients, it's built for times just like this. We know these are going to come. They actually come quite often, not the biggest dip we had. It's been, years since we had that, but it's building a strategy that is going to weather these type of storms. So the idea is to have that buy and hold type strategy. And this is just a quick scenario of showing you really, if you were turn back time and think about, and some of you folks that are watching today remember the markets in 72, 87, 99, 2007 of the melting of the markets. And what we're trying to show you just in this little scenario here is someone since 1972 decided to put 50,000 in right before the market crashed. They did it for four times on the 4 crashes before 08. Look how much they had at the end, because they literally bought into the market. Even though it crashed right before they bought in, they still had tons of money. So the idea is buy and hold long term. Make sure you buy good investments that are going to last for a long time and not try to hit home runs.
And it's about a strategy. This works if your strategy initially is proper and right. So
that's right. So what I want to teach you today and have a little bit of fun, and we're about 2/3 of the way through, just to give you a heads up, so it's not too much longer. So what I want you to think about, rates of return. We as consumers watch our investments, usually look at rates of return. What did this get as a rate of return? What I want to do is I want to share with you how rates of return work, so you can understand that what does it mean? What's a real rate of return versus an average rate of return mean? Okay. So let's just imagine we've got $2 million. Okay. And we're going to try to figure out, how am I going to invest this $2 million? Okay. So I'm going to take my first $1 million, invest it into some kind of stock, right? So I'll just call it XYZ stock. Okay. And I'm going to take my next $1 million and invest it into some fund and see how they do for the first year. Well, first year rolls around, right? Our first $1 million in the stock we put into is up 60%. Who's happy with 60? I am. Right? Are you?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm happy.
I'm bragging at the family picnics, the breakfasts, or wherever. I made 60% of my stocks, right? Well, our diversified fund did awesome too. Maybe a year like last year did 30%. So we're here after 1 year looking at our statements going, we had a really good year, didn't we? Well, guess what? Year 2 rolls around. What goes up must come down, right? Our XYZ stock drops 40%. Okay. And our diversified fund, that drops 10%. So what I want you to do is I want you to think, how do we figure out what the rate of return is for XYZ stock in their diversified fund? Okay. So we do 60 minus 40, right? Equals 20 divided by 2 equals 10%. And 30 minus 10 equals 20 divided by 2 years equals 10%.
So it's an average 10% per year, right?
You got it. So basically what I'm trying to show you is it didn't matter how we invested in money in the stock or diversified fund. They both average 10%, right?
That's the average. That's right
the
there.
average rate of return.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is big, folks.
Really is. So what I like to say at my office, and I love, I'm a math person, money person, is let's combine math and money. What did you really make? That's what you really want to see. We have clients that come in our office. They say, yeah, the market's been really good for X amount of years, but I haven't made any money. Okay. Here, let's combine math and money, and let me show you why this could be part of the issue. Okay. So let's figure out what we did and how much money we made. So remember, our XYZ stock, we started off with $1 million. We bid 60% the first year. How much is that? 600,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our diversified fund that did 30%, that's 300,000. So in XYZ stock, I've got 1.6 million. In the other fund, I've got 1.3 million. I'm looking pretty good. Well, what happened the next year? What goes up must come down, right? Year two, I dropped 40% of 1.6 million. I have that's minus 640,000. In our diversified fund, I lost 10%. That's 130,000.
So you lost more than you actually made.
That's right.
When it came down.
So look what's happening here. Look what's happening here. I've got whether I put my money in XYZ stock for 2 years, I put my money in diversified fund for 2 years. They both average 10%, folks. You just saw that on the last screen, right? It's sitting there at 10%. And in the X stock, I lost $40,000 on my original investment. In the other fund, I made $170,000.
Exactly.
But yet I averaged 10%. That's what's going on. Okay. It's not what the average rate of return is. It's what the real rate of return is. What am I really making on my investment? Because we can really get tricked on what it says we're making, but what we're really making, because that doesn't really tell the story.
Yeah. When you look at investment charts, it's actually the law, if you will, and a compliance law that you can show a client a 10-year rate of return. That's what you show folks, and what the average rate and what you look at is your average rate of return over that period. It has nothing to do with the actual amount of money that you have in the account. So it has zero to do, as Ben will say, with the volatility. Volatility does not create money. It might if it continued to go up like 60% a year, but it's not going to do that. No investment does. So we'd rather have a slow down, a very slow, let's hit some singles and doubles and triples, and let's get some steady returns where I don't lose so big. And look what happened here.
Well, volatility trumps return.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I want to show you, you see a bunch of numbers on the screen, but I wanted to share you a quick story. So my uncle was in the concrete business, and I was really fortunate to work with him when I was young. And he was one of the hardest workers I ever met. And I was at Kent State studying finance, and he in 2000, and he's getting ready to retire. Okay, 55 years old, saved $1 million, or if not more. And we always go there for Christmas. And I'm sitting across, and he's a matter of fact kind of guy. And I asked him, I said, what? I asked my uncle, I said, what's your main concerns with your money? He said, well, Ben, he goes, I've got really 3 main concerns. He goes, first, I want to protect my principal. I don't want to lose any money, right? I said, okay, that makes sense. He goes, second, I want to take some income, right? I need income. I save this money. I need income. And third, I want to grow a little bit. Mm-hmm. Doesn't that sound like what you want with your money, right? So what I did is I just created a slide to give you an idea of 2 different portfolios starting in the year 2000. And the first one on the left is the S&P 500 index fund, okay? And the one on the right is a diversified type fund. And you'll notice that we put $1 million in, and if he was retiring in 2000, he puts $1 million in each. If he'd have put his money in that S&P 500 fund, taken 50,000 out a year, which is 5%, and think about that, 5% out of your investments in 2000 probably wasn't too far of a stretch. Remember, CDs were paying 5 or 6%. Well, today, people ask us, what percentage should we be taking out of our investments? Well, you know what Morningstar says? And most of you folks have heard of Morningstar. Morningstar says a little bit less than 3 because of the market cycles and what happens in the market. Yeah. Anyway, if he'd had his money invested in this S&P 500 fund, he'd have taken 50,000 out every year. After 20 years through 2019, look how much he would have, 353,000 left.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Devastating. Think about that. Look at the fund on the right. puts the same million in, averaged the same rate of return for the last 20 years, takes 50,000 out, has 1.8 million. Think about that. Same average rate of return. We start taking income out. One has 300,000, one has 1.8 million. You can't afford to have a ton of volatility in your retirement account if you're taking income. Think about this. We showed you this webinar because how important it was to not outlive your assets, to make sure you have money to and through retirement.
Yeah, exactly. That's critical.
Yeah. So I love to share this at our office. We talk about what lane am I going down with my investments. And when everybody comes in to see us, which you're going to have the opportunity to schedule a meeting tonight, is we like to hear, what lane am I traveling down? How fast am I going with my investments? Am I going 75 down the highway where I'm taking a ton of risk? Or am I going 25 down there where I'm pretty conservative? I don't want to lose any money. How risky are you? Well, right now, with what's happened with the market, you have a pretty good idea how much risk you have in your portfolio. Okay. Is it scaring you? Is it making you nervous? Could there be another downturn when all the financial data comes out? That's where we think we can step in and help you. I always like to share the analogy. If you're on a boat that's sinking and you've jumped off, and we're here with a life preserver, right? We're throwing to you, to help guide you through, to help build a plan for you. Okay. And show you what it means to build a plan. Because it's just not about an investment statement. It's about a real plan.
It could be. I mean, right now, your portfolio maybe need tweaked. And of course, we shared buy and hold, but you need to have a strategy to begin with. And we find that if that's the condition you're in, and really without doing an x-ray of your portfolio, you really aren't going to be able to know what these gains and losses are and how volatile it is. And we want to make sure we do that. This is a tax slide. So one of the other risks we see, and I want to just repeat these risks: investment risk, which we just talked about. We have experienced that, and it's major. Social Security risk. We have a way to determine what's the best scenario for you taking Social Security. Tax risk. We now know that with all the spending, and we've said this for a long time, taxes are huge. So you can conceivably pay taxes on about 80% of your Social Security. I don't know if you knew that or not. And this little slide, it just shows the various items that come into play in your tax return that would dictate what your taxable income is. So we want to look at that. And we had a client today that we, again, just retiring. They happen to have a great income plan has been set up, which we've done for them. Now they're retiring, and they have a very good sized chunk of monies that they don't have to use for income. And it happens to be in a 401k. Well, we already have a plan that next year, after he finishes out this year, we're going to begin to convert that piece by piece into a Roth IRA and allow all of the rest of those gains and growth, which will maintain itself for years, to grow tax-free. Now, that's a study. Again, we do that with another tool that we have here. We want to get you out of jail with the money that you have not paid tax on. Just remember that. Anything in your IRA is in jail. You have to take it out according to the IRS and the government requirements, which could easily be changed, and they have been changed over the years. But that money is not all yours, and the money, it doesn't matter what you want to do with it. You have to follow the rules. We want to change that for you. And again, it needs to be the right scenario. So we need to do an analysis and develop our plan with you to see if it works for you.
That's right. And to jump on the tax slide here, if you think about taxes in retirement, it doesn't change, right? We spend our whole life trying to figure out how we can't pay taxes. It's the same thing in retirement. You want to pay the least amount of taxes as you can. Well, they just recently passed what they call the Secure Act here last year that went into effect here in 2020. And a couple main points, and we can send you a list if you want it, of all the different points that are part of the Secure Act. But really the two main ones are required minimum distributions, or RMDs, went from 70.5 to 72. Okay. Now, if you're already 70.5 prior to January 2020, you still have to take your RMD. Sorry about that. And really the second
Except for
one,
this year, it's relieved this
that's
year.
true.
Yeah.
And this year it's relieved.
Because of the virus and the downturn. So no RMDs this year. Again, it's a unique year. That's not going to be forever.
And really the second biggest thing was inherited IRAs that are going to non-spouses have to be spent within 10 years. So think about this. You've worked this hard. You've saved this kind of money. You put it into your IRA, your 401k, deferred the money. Something happens to you, goes to your kids. Guess what? They've got to spend it in 10 years. Where in the past, they would have their whole life to spend the money.
And typically, they're going to inherit that money at the height of their income.
That's right.
Just think about that.
That's right.
So now you have multiplied the tax burden on those funds. So we want to head that off at the pass, if you will, and make sure we take care of that early.
That's right. So that's about a plan. And remember, it's about looking at the taxes and making sure your advisor is looking at tax ideas and looking at maximizing your retirement when it comes to taxes. One thing we love to share in our office, to keep it short, keep it sweet, ROI versus ROR. Everybody talks about, oh, what's the ROI, and I remember growing up, we talked about that, but return on investment versus return on retirement. Think about that.
Exactly.
You want to return on retirement.
You need a plan.
Right.
Make it happen.
So to sum up our webinar, you call it the Retirement Game Changer. It's really taking every puzzle piece you have in your life when it comes to your finances and putting those together and making it whole. That is so important. Think about this. Okay. You have a bunch of puzzle pieces, have someone help you put that together. So what we're going to encourage you to do tonight or today is actually schedule a 15-minute phone call or schedule a time to come into our office to see us, to figure out how we can help you and how we can build a plan for you. We like to share it with everybody. We call it the IWM Retirement Game Plan, and how important it is to make sure you've got a retirement plan that's going to last forever. And we really have built it down to really 5 key areas. Income planning, what we shared with you, how we build an income plan. Investment planning, we showed you how to control volatility. And that's what we do at our office, is building an investment strategy that controls volatility. Tax planning, right? We just talked about that. We don't want to pay Uncle Sam if we don't have to. Healthcare planning. What do we do for long-term care? What do we do for Medicare? What's the best avenue to take? And 5th, legacy planning, making sure our assets go to those who we love. So I'm going to encourage you today to, at the end of this webinar, to click the link and schedule a 15-minute phone call with one of us and see how we can help you, to see if we have that connection. Because the fact is, we can't work with everybody, right, at our office, because everybody's needs are totally different.
Yeah.
And the best way to figure out if we can help you, if we can help build a plan for you, because what we do for every single one of the people that come in our office is we not only gather all the data, organize it, put it in place, is we actually build a rough draft plan that's complementary to you. It doesn't cost you anything. We really build a plan. And then what's really fun is implementing the plan in our office. So thanks so much for tuning in to our webinar.
Yeah.
It's been fun being with you. And if you want to have some questions, have some concerns, send us an email. We would love to have you come schedule a meeting to come see us. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Good night.
We had a really good friend that passed away, and we had not done any work for these folks, financial work, and essentially it was unexpected. And when I got to his house, what I found was his children were combing through all of their financial documents. His wife had never written a check really, and never spent any time with her finances. And that scene will never, ever leave my mind.
At Integrated Wealth Management, our goal is to design a well-crafted plan and bring all the details and pieces together to build you a roadmap for retirement. We know retirement is super exciting, but it can be daunting and confusing. Am I going to have enough money live the lifestyle that I want? Am I going to leave enough money for my spouse, children? How do I protect my estate? What am I going to do about taxes? What if I have a major medical expense? Many of the people that are coming into our office are asking those same questions. And they need a team like Integrated Wealth to put the pieces together for retirement.
What we don't want for clients that come to Integrated Wealth is to have that scene that I described a moment ago where something happens and things are a mess. We are going to put these pieces of the puzzle together. We're going to make your life simple. We're going to allow you the freedom of retirement, allow you to travel, go on cruises, do what you want to do without worrying about your money, about your things, so that you can enjoy the next 20 to 30 years of your life with confidence.